Hello, my name is Mallory Farrell, and this is my Project 3 for Educational Psychology. And I chose to do my project over intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and this is in Chapter 10. Intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic incentives are any activity that people enjoy or that they find motivating. Intrinsic reinforcers are behaviors that a person enjoys engaging in for his or her own sake without any other reward. And in intrinsic motivation, there are three subs. There's experiment, reward impact, and enhancing motivation. Experiments. Lepper and colleagues in 1973 gave preschool students felt tip markers to draw with, then separated students into three groups. They found that the promising extrinsic rewards for doing something can be intrinsically interesting, and it undermines the intrinsic reward because they expect the reward for something they would have done anyway. They had students who would get a reward for drawing with the felt tip markers, who would get a reward based on what their drawings looked like, and then they had another group who would not receive an award. And they were being told that they would be watched had the same effect as promising them a reward. Under reward impact, use of rewards often increases intrinsic motivation when they are based on quality of performance instead of participation, recognition of competence, task is uninteresting, or rewards are social. Those are the four things we need to keep in mind to help our students become intrinsically motivated as well as extrinsically. Enhancing motivation. Teachers need to have a supportive classroom environment. It should be warm, accepting, and positive. Students would work hard when they want to please their teacher and they feel safe in trying out new ideas. Arousing interest is how the knowledge gained will be useful for students. Provide choices in how or what students learn. I try to always provide a choice when we do projects in my class where my students are able to choose, if they would like to do a PowerPoint, if they would like to do a poster, if they would like to do a report. That helps them get more interested in the content, and it helps them show me in different ways what they've actually learned. Teachers should provide a variety of interesting presentation models using games, simulations, demonstrations, or guest speakers. And the last one should be helping students make choices and set their own goals. Students are more likely to engage in activities that they choose, and setting goals increases student efficacy and academic performance. Now we have extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic incentives are rewards that are external to the activity, such as recognition or a good grade. Extrinsic reinforcers are praise or rewards given to motivate people to engage in behavior that they might not do otherwise. And extrinsic motivation has three concepts: expectations, feedback, and enhancing motivation. For expectations, students' failure often comes from confusion about what they are supposed to do. Students need to know what they are supposed to do, how they will be evaluated, and consequences of what the consequence of success will be. It's very important as teachers that we make sure that we make our expectations clear for all students, regardless of achievement level or anything else. Providing feedback should be clear, immediate, and frequent. For clear feedback, it needs to be specific. That can be both informative and motivational. You don't just need to say good job. You need to say great job, I like how you solved this math problem. Great job, I like how hard you're working to get to the answer. You need to be specific and clear. Students need to have immediate feedback so they can know if they're doing it correctly, so they don't continue to make the same mistakes. A lot of what I see from where I teach is that teachers assign homework the first night that they learn a new topic. And this can confuse parents, especially if students didn't really understand how to solve, a math problem, or how to write this, or how to do that. So we need to make sure that our students actually are able to do what we're asking them to do before we send it home for homework. And feedback needs to be frequent. Small, frequent rewards are more effective than large, infrequent ones, which I can agree with that, because students need to be motivated. You can sit there and say, well, at the end of the semester, I'm going to put everybody's name in a hat that has an A. Or you could do, well, every week I'm going to have a star student. That would be easier, and students would work harder to achieve the star student reward instead of the end of the semester reward, because a lot can happen in that short amount of time. Enhancing motivation. For extrinsic, students must value the incentives. We have to figure out what motivates our students, and some examples of incentives that you could use are praise, good grades, notes to parents, extra recess, or a classroom job. I teach second grade, and my students love when I send home just a simple sticky note to their parents at the end of the day if they have had a great day or if they made a good choice. That's something we're really pushing in our school, are good choices and recognizing what a bad choice is and how we can make it a good choice. So sending home those little notes to parents really motivate my students. And no student should have an easy time to get the maximum reward. It is important to reward students for effort, doing better than they have in the past, and for making progress. You don't just want to always reward that one student who gets everything the first time you say it. You need to keep in mind those students who do struggle with the content, and when they make gains, regardless of if it's just a small gain, like knowing how to make 10 out of base 10 blocks, and seeing how 1 plus 9 equals 10 when other students are doing 19 plus 30 equals 49. You need to reward those little gains. Thank you for watching my show.